Put your hands all over the room and say, this one. That thing that's been keeping you up at night won't be. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Those of you that are out there on social media land, yes, we are live. We are live now, and I'm so excited about the conversation that we are getting ready to have. But let me just do some housekeeping things right quick.
Media takes no responsibility for the opinions or the statements made by the host or their guests. Statements or show topics are not the necessary belief of the radio station. Street 100 in Heat or Raise the Praise 100 Houston. It is not our intention to label, discriminate, or ignore anyone. This radio station takes no responsibility for the opinions of others on the airwaves.
It's the Rich Living Morning Show, right here with Bishop Richard Harper. Keep it locked. Wake up. It's the Rich Living Morning Show with Bishop Richard Harper, lifting your spirit through gospel hits and conversations.
Yes, it's the Rich Living Morning Show. Of course, you already knew that, but if you didn't know, now you know exactly who you are listening to. I'm so excited for all of you on social media and those that are listening on RaiseThePraise100.com or whether you're on the Raise the Praise 100 app, wherever in the world you are, we are so excited that you are here. And we have had an amazing Black History, Black Excellence series for the month of February. I've been so excited about the panel of guests that I've had throughout the month, but we had to shake it up. I realized we had all brothers. We had an all-male panel, and so I met our guests at an event on Saturday. Carrington and I, we were at the premiere of Roman to the Rescue, and I was like, we have to have Dr. Glass on the show, and I'm so excited to have her on the show with us this morning, especially as we're talking about Black excellence. And, I intentionally brought on people that you could identify with, not people from the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, 1930, 1920. No, we need to see some people right here and right now that we can identify with and we can be inspired by them. Dr. Glass, I'm pulling up her bio here. Make sure I have the bio pulled up. I have so many emails. Dr. Glass is a doctor of veterinary medicine, a graduate from Cornell University, as well as Prairie View A&M University. Dr. Glass was born in Houston, Texas, where for years she nurtured her love of animals by watching television, documentaries, and performing her own animal behavior experiments. Beyond clinical medicine, Dr. Glass has a variety of molecular biology research experience in the areas of animal science, synthetic biology, animal behavior, and space biomedicine. She has studied extensively at top research institutions, including the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, also known as MIT, and the NASA Johnson Space Center. Dr. Glass graduated from Prairie View A&M University, summa cum laude, with a Bachelor of Science in Agriculture and a concentration in Animal Science. She enjoys leisure, reading, playing golf, and spending time with her close friends and family. She is a member of the American Veterinary Medical Association, the Texas Veterinary Medical Association, the American Academy of Veterinary Acupuncture, the International Veterinary Acupuncture Society, and the American Association of Traditional Chinese Veterinary Medicine. Dr. Glass is the owner of Personal Touch Veterinary Clinic, where she focuses on integrative medicine with an emphasis on acupuncture and other alternative modalities. She has been featured on ABC and Fox, also in numerous publications, Southern Living Magazine, Veterinary Practice News, the New York Times. She's an expert veterinarian for FreshPet Foods And also, you can see her on the new television series entitled Roman to the Rescue, which premiered on Disney XD, Disney Now, and the Hulu streaming platforms. Welcome to the virtual stage, and good morning to you, Dr. Glass. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you, and it was great being at the premiere and also seeing the show. How was the launch of the show, the first night of the show, Roman to the Rescue?
Oh, it was nice. It was very nice. I got different texts and messages from other friends and family that are out and about around the country that could not fly in for the screening. And yesterday, the episode premiered on Hulu, and to my surprise, it wasn't just the first episode, but they released the first three. So
Mhm.
I was able to kind of binge watch and see these different stories, and I feel like each one is better than the last. So I really hope that everybody in the audience watches it and that they enjoy it.
Well, you know what? My son paid attention at the premiere, and him being a busy 9-year old who only thinks in terms of Fortnite and Roblox and the History Channel, he was very, very impressed with the show. Very impressed with the show. And so this is our Black Excellence series, and the first question I ask all of my guests during the Black Excellence series is what does Black excellence mean to you?
Ooh. So, Black excellence, what does it mean to me? I think Black excellence to me is a sense of doing the best you can with the gifts that you have to offer and doing it in a way that supports your community
Mhm.
and supports your colleagues and your family and friends, and it helps to by your presence, by you being able to contribute your gifts and talents, you're also enhancing your village, your community, your neighborhood. I think Black excellence can be somebody who is a mentor to some students. It could be a civil rights leader. It could be a lot of unsung heroes as well. All of that is the whole span of Black excellence.
That's great. I love your definition and your explanation, and each one of our guests has added something quite differently. Now, you are representing Black excellence as on the Disney streaming platform, XD platform. I understand you are the first African American female veterinarian, or is it the first African American veterinarian on the platform that is a part of a show?
I know for sure that it is a female, but I think it might be the first Black veterinarian. Period. Um, and one of my family was saying that she thinks I might have been one of the first Black veterinarians with a lead role on NatGeoWild network as well. So I have to double check that. I'm not sure,
Mhm.
but it might have been for two networks, both NatGeoWild as well as for Disney XD.
What's the pressure for the first? I remember hearing some time ago, a long time ago, of course, it was Lena Horne, and when she retired and went off the scene, she said she didn't want to be first anymore. What
Mm.
is it? What's the pressure of being first when you know the world is watching?
Oh, yeah. I think that whether we like it or not, we know that a lot of times, especially even though it's the year 2022, and it's unfortunate, but we are still having first, like the first Black woman to get a gold in speed skating just happened. I can't remember her name, and I don't want to butcher it. um, but I think that whether we like it or not, knowing that there are still firsts, we know that that means that there are still gatekeepers that are present that are keeping people from really flourishing in different areas. And a lot of times there's things that you have to do. You have to be uncomfortable. You have to be in that space where you're learning how to navigate things a lot of times by yourself. And sometimes it can feel like a fish out of water. Um, but at the same time, you also know that if you do it in a way that enhances the project that you're doing, that really brings excellence, Black excellence to the project, or excellence, period. It doesn't even have to be the Black excellence part. Then it helps to really open up the doors for so many others. And unless you enjoy being a token, you're no longer being a token,
Hmm.
because you are ushering in a new wave, a new cohort of people within whatever position that is. And so uh, I know that I've already been contacted by at least one other Black veterinarian who is interested in getting into the media space, and I'm helping him along the way. I know of others like Dr. Joy on Pop Goes the Vet on NatGeoWild, and we talked about her experiences as well as mine. And there was one, Dr. Courtney Campbell, who, although he isn't on Disney XD, he is very prominent in the scene where he's been on
Hmm.
the Doctor's Show. He's been on Pet Talk. He's been on a lot of different things, and he's served as a source of encouragement for me as well. So it really is all about paying it forward so that there are no longer firsts.
Hmm. 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 That's good. I want to talk to you especially about being an African American veterinarian. I've only met two African American veterinarians in my life. My cousin's father-in-law, I believe, was the first African American veterinarian in the city of Dallas, where I'm from. And I remember sitting with
Mm.
Dr. Magruder, hearing his stories of having to go to Tuskegee back then, all the way to Tuskegee, because there wasn't a school where he could have been admitted to at the
Right.
time. And I rarely meet African American veterinarians. Tell us about your experience in the field as an African American veterinarian, because they have this stigma. And I have to be quite honest, when I'm at the vet and they make these comments about, well, this is what it costs, and if you want to pay this, because it's like, black folks don't pay for veterinary care. Um, we just have realness just on this show. But
Yes.
what's your experience?
So
What's
it
your
goes
experience?
both there. So there's two sides of it. So one, at the end of the day, let's face it, owning a pet is a luxury, and it's a
Mhm,
luxury that a lot of people can't afford.
mhm,
And there are some people who absolutely love their dogs, but
mhm,
when it comes to choosing between antibiotics or putting food on the table, sometimes they're going to choose their human family first. And that's something that is understandable. However, there is a trend now where, especially in the Black community, pets are transitioning from being the backyard animals, almost like glorified livestock. um, they're making that transition from being in the backyard to being in the house. That in and
mhm,
of itself is a cultural shift. I mean, let's be
mhm.
honest.
Yes, it is.
Having animals in the household, that's a huge cultural shift. But with that, the pets are now family members. And
Yes.
because they're family members and you want to take um, the same type of care, you want to provide the same type of care, then now there is a shift in the importance of things like vaccinations, like heartworm preventatives,
Mhm,
like treating different wounds, not
mhm,
procrastinating. So I have seen that shift,
mhm,
especially I've been practicing for about 7 years now, so I've seen that shift as a new vet,
mhm,
newbie vet, to
mhm,
now. And
mhm,
I've also seen the and heard the talks amongst the staff
mhm,
where it's, well, they probably not gonna do this, and all that, all that kind of stuff.
mhm,
But it's like you're saying, like you have your 17-year-old dog that that you're caring for, and people are putting a lot more emphasis on or see the importance of good quality veterinary care for their pets. Um, so that's part one.
Mhm,
Uh, Being a Black veterinarian, in case you don't know, in the whole country, veterinary medicine is considered the whitest healthcare profession. There's less than 3% of Black veterinarians. It's probably more like 2% in the whole
wow,
country. So you are talking to a Black unicorn right now, a living
wow,
unicorn.
wow.
And there are some things that come with it,
Mhm,
especially with clients not believing what I'm saying, or
mhm,
want they would prefer to have it confirmed by a colleague.
mhm,
The treatment plans,
mhm,
uh, even as far as the uh, uh, even as far as not valuing my time to
mhm,
even talk with the different clients, assuming the worst for a lot of things, not extending grace, the same type of grace that they might extend to another veterinarian. And
mhm,
even, sometimes you're ignored. Sometimes, even with colleagues, you are um, ridiculed. Every
mhm,
mistake, because nobody's perfect. So every
mhm,
mistake is magnified,
mhm,
and you really have to have people who are your mentors, colleagues that you can lean on, that you can talk to,
mhm, mhm,
and also find ways to have your peace, develop your peace in the
mhm,
midst of it. One of the
mhm,
ways that I was able to do that was by creating my own space. And my mentor had a conversation with me that really, it was almost like a waiting to excel moment. Because as soon as we had this conversation, I was like, ah, all right, I know what to do moving forward.
mhm,
And it was creating my own space, allowing me to do more media opportunities like Roman to the Rescue, allowing me to create my own mobile practice. And it has grown to the point that we've had enough requests that we're in the process of expanding.
mhm,
And I'm really, really excited about that too. So,
mhm.
being a Black veterinarian, it's not for the faint of heart at all.
Yep, definitely have to have a thick skin.
Yes, absolutely. I will say there's only been one time that, well, the first time that this happened, it was one of the most empowering moments for me. I
Mhm,
happened to be doing relief, which is where you're like subbing in for a veterinarian who's taking
mhm,
time off for whatever reason.
mhm,
This particular clinic happened to be staffed by two Black female veterinarians.
mhm, mhm,
Both of those veterinarians also came from Cornell. And
mhm,
they happened to relocate to Houston, and they were working in the same clinic.
mhm,
And both of them were gone, but I was the only one there.
mhm,
And the first time I stepped into the exam room for my first appointment,
mhm,
I realized I felt as if I was almost bracing myself for some type of foolishness.
mhm, mhm, mhm,
And it wasn't until after I started talking to the client that I realized, wait, at this location, I'm the norm.
mhm, mhm,
And that was a shift in my mind.
mhm,
It was like
mhm,
I got like goosebumps because it was like, my hair, the skin, what I'm saying, even maybe how I'm saying it. That's the
mhm,
norm here.
mhm,
And that's the standard here. And
mhm,
I didn't even realize, like, I just felt a weight lifted off my shoulders because I was like, okay, this is a different day today. This is
mhm,
a completely different day.
mhm, mhm.
And it was empowering. And I think I did like maybe 3 days at that clinic, but it was wonderful.
That's good. And we love those moments, but we have those breakthrough moments, those empowering moments. You started undergrad at Prairie View A&M, and then you go to Cornell. What was that transition like? And by the way, I'm the president of the Houston HBCU Alumni Association, and the
Oh, okay.
yeah, and the Prairie View Houston chapter are members of our organization as well. So I'm always like HBCU. I'm a Paul
Yes,
Quinn
yes,
graduate, but what
yes.
what tell us about that transition from PV to Cornell?
Well, the transition was different. It was a culture shock, as you can imagine. When I was at PD, there were several things that happened. One, I knew that I was ready to get out of Texas and to just try something different. I had a great time at Prairie View, and uh, and I really treasure my HBCU experience. And I was
Mhm,
like, you know what? I'm okay with trying something different.
mhm,
Um, when I did an internship at MIT, there was a lunch lecture that was from a recruiter there in their grad school.
mhm,
And they made a very profound statement. They said, you know, there are so many people at who would have been great MIT alums, but
mhm,
they never will be.
mhm.
And it's because they never applied. They
Wow.
basically counted themselves out.
Mhm,
So my friends in the program and I had a conversation amongst ourselves, and we essentially made a pact that whatever program we decided to pursue, whether it was engineering, whether it was uh, neuroscience, whatever it was, that we would aim for the top program
mhm,
in that field.
mhm,
And that night, I looked up the rankings for veterinary medicine, for
mhm,
colleges of veterinary medicine, and Cornell was number one. And I said,
mhm.
well, I guess I got to go to Cornell. Other than that, Cornell had never been on my radar,
Wow.
but that is why Cornell became the goal, is because of that talk.
Mhm,
And I'm proud to say that I want to say like 90%, maybe 95% of us who had that
mhm,
conversation amongst ourselves ended
mhm.
up going to the schools that were in the top of our fields, and just about all of us have some type of doctoral degree. So they have PhDs, I have a DVM. That's the
That's
only
amazing.
difference.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Now I've got to bring in this story. You know, we are a Christian radio station.
I did a little bit of preaching at the screening. I wasn't
Oh, you
expecting to say
preach
all
at
of
the
that.
screening. I was like, okay, here's an, I got this list, like Latoria Lemon is on my list of folks I need to give some license, some preaching license to, because I was like, okay, we're gonna have church today. This is not it's just a screening. But I gotta bring this funny story in. You and the pet psychic.
Yes, it was.
I, you know what? I've got to
Yes.
say this, Dr. Aziza, Dr. Glass. Now, because I am a pastor, and I travel and preach and everything, I meet a lot of people. And especially when I
Hmm.
moved to Houston, I met a lot of people. So I had joined this, what was called a prophetic group, like through Meetup, but I had no idea it was a psychic group. So I showed up for the first event, and I was the preacher sitting there, and these were like all psychics, and we were on Great Day Houston. So I was like, man, I'm sitting here on TV with a group of psychics, and everybody in Houston.
But you needed to be there to show what because I'm sure that people even in the Bible thought that prophets were psychic. So
Exactly. But I met a pet psychic in the group, and she
oh
wanted to tell. Yeah, I did. So I could identify with the story of your clients there, because I met a pet psychic in the group, and she was trying to tell me something about a dog I had when I was a child. I just said, "Okay, praise the Lord, Amen." So she
praise the
gave me a
Lord.
whole little thing there. But you had this story. I got to bring this story.
Yeah, so you want me to tell the story?
Yes, please tell the story,
Um
and then we got a question from the.
so So I got a call like I normally do about treating this cat, and I'm changing some of the details just in case this person,
Mm,
sees this and
sure.
wants and gets it. But they it was about a cat, and that it had some elbow issues. And I said, okay, sure. Got to the house. The couple was very, very nice,
Mm,
and they had multiple dogs. Then they had this cat, and so I just was like, well, what's going on? Da da da. And they said, well, she's been acting up, and our psychic, our pet psychic told us, and I was like, oh, okay, you got to keep a poker face, which being a black veterinarian, you've gotten very good at. It's a
right,
skill
right,
set.
right, right. Exactly.
You got to use it quite a bit. So I just, was like, oh, okay. And they said, yes, blah, blah, blah. And the cat actually responded very well. And then I said, okay, so we can do a repeat. And I came back in about a week, I think, and they
Hmm.
said, yes, the pet psychic said that this, and this, and all this other stuff. And they were extremely, extremely serious. And I
Yeah.
said, well, I don't know. Said, okay. I kind of just said, okay. And I let them know what I was seeing during the exam
Hmm.
and made my recommendations. And I think I came back a third time. And, they were still very nice. They never asked any other stuff. Uh, and I just said, let me just not get too much into it because I don't need this into my spirit. So, but at the end of the day, the dog did very well. The dog did very well,
Uh-huh.
and and I said, well, I don't know. Maybe the pet cycle will refer me to some other dogs or some cats. I don't know.
That was an incredible
I
story.
never got in contact with them.
I'm telling you, the lady I met that was a pet psychic, and she was African American, which was the first shock because I was like, now come on now, Big
Oh,
Mom.
okay.
I was like, now Big Mom ain't having that. But I'm even glad that you mentioned trends are changing even with pet care because I'm a child that grew up in the 80s and I was used to King, Black, and Smoke and Killer tied at the tree in the in the backyard. That's where the dogs were. But we had house dogs. I grew up, we had house dogs, so I never had a problem with the house dog trend. I love my little dog in the house. Question from Janice D. Mixon. The question is how do we encourage other young blacks to pursue this field? Or
So a lot of
vet?
it's going to be accessibility. Unfortunately, there is a big requirement that is it kind of acts like a gatekeeper for a lot of
Mhm,
students, especially students of color, especially Black students, to get into the field, to even get accepted into veterinary schools. And that is that they have to have a lot of these schools require so many hours shadowing a veterinarian.
mhm,
The thing that makes that tricky is the fact that there are the the there aren't as many independent vet clinics. A lot of the
mhm.
independent vet clinics are being bought out by bigger corporations.
Sure.
So, and because of that, since it's no longer independent owned, it's more of a corporate owned, now you're dealing with a different kind of red tape. And
Mhm,
because of that, a lot of these businesses are no longer wanting to accept the liability for having somebody who's not covered with insurance to
mm,
even be in the space. Because what if this
mhm,
person gets bit? What if this
mm,
person gets stabbed by, like, accidentally poked by a needle?
mhm,
What if this person gets scratched by a cat? What does that mean for us?
mhm,
And because of that, it's actually easier for a lot of these students to get their shadowing hours as an employee,
mhm,
even if it's cleaning out kennels
Mm-hmm.
versus being a volunteer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there aren't enough employee positions. You have to know somebody who is willing to hire you, who is
Mm-hmm.
willing to see your um, to see your motivation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big thing is being able to have the accessibility to allow these students to even have access to being in a vet clinic, to seeing what it looks like, what it feels like, and to then be able to essentially endorse them because that's what the shadowing is. You're interning with them, endorsing them in order for them to even apply to vet school.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing is to be present and to be something that that children can see themselves in. I actually never met a veterinarian. Uh, I didn't actually meet a veterinarian because I didn't grow up with pets.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I got to college when I got to Prairie View and I saw the upperclassmen that I really admired start to go through the process of applying that I even really considered, oh, you've always loved animals. You're in animal science right now. You want to go to grad school. I mean, being a veterinarian is something that you could do as well. That is an option. And it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't until I saw that process and I also realized that two of my professors that I was calling doctor, they didn't have PhDs, they had DVMs, and both of them happened to be Black women. And
Mm-hmm.
those two things were what helped me to say, I can do this field too. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not only accessibility and helping to lay that path for these students, but
Mm-hmm.
also being a visible presence so that these different students can envision themselves in that same space.
That's good. Those are great tips there, especially the getting in the shadowing in or finding those positions in the veterinary office. That's a great tip there. If you're just tuning in, it's a Rich Living Morning Show. We are in our Black Excellence series. My guest today is veterinarian Dr. Aziza Glass. As we're coming down to the final moments of the conversation, you've had a media presence. You've been on ABC. You've been on other uh, news outlets. I think you've been on Good Morning America, I saw,
Mhm.
and so many shows. How are you balancing the being the expert, fresh pet expert? I do give my dog fresh pet, so
Oh, wonderful.
yes. She's on fresh pet. She had actually stopped eating. And I don't know, the Holy Spirit just led me because for years I was saying, I'm not buying that stuff, right? Looking at it in the freezer and
Hmm.
spirit just led me to purchasing the fresh pet and she started back eating. She didn't
Mm.
eat for a while and she started back eating, so I'm a fresh pet fan. But how are you finding balance with family and career and your faith, and you're having this amazing practice now, you're on TV shows. I mean, the sky is definitely not the limit for you. How do you find balance being a superwoman?
Ooh. I am, thank you for that, but I am definitely still figuring that out. Especially when my son was born, he's almost 2 now, and I felt a lot of pressure to make sure that I didn't drop any balls, because I did not want anybody to be able to say that, well, kind of like what a lot of athletes are going through, like even Serena Williams, like, well, now that she has a child, she's not going to have the same type of excellence. And I did feel that pressure because I already felt like I was doing a lot, and I was like, how does a baby even fit into that? But God knew what He was doing, and it really just comes with having support from family and friends. So my family has been so crucial to me being able to have balance. Um, Even from as simple as my dad becoming granddad daycare for the longest time because my son was born at the beginning of the pandemic
Mhm,
and the daycares were closed. And there were a lot of women who couldn't go to work. because of it. And I was very, very fortunate that that was not the case for me. And my dad more than happily stepped up, and now they are two peas in a pod.
Mhm.
Um, my boyfriend has been extremely crucial to my balance because he also sees when I need a break, when I need, he sees like a lot of the different nuances,
Mhm.
even with my moods and my personalities that even my parents may not pick up on. Um, and he does even like the little things that will help to kind of put me at ease, give me
Mhm.
different words of encouragement, helps to fill in the gaps that I miss.
Mhm.
My sisters have been crucial. My sisters are, I'm able to bounce a lot of things off of them. They give me a lot of good advice. They
Mhm.
criticize me. They let me know when my makeup is not good, when I missed my neck. And I gotta do something. My neck and my face is a different color. They will tell me. They will they if I'm posting something and I have some type of grammatical error or something or
Mhm.
misspelled word, they are on it.
Mhm.
They are on it.
Mhm.
And my friends are people that I can hang out with. Not as much because of the pandemic, which has been unfortunate, but um and encourage me and just be another way of relaxing, being out of the Dr. Aziza space and being in just the Aziza space,
Mhm.
and all of that helps me to find that balance.
Mhm.
Um, I travel when I can, but yeah, everybody plays a huge role. I know
Mhm.
that there's no way that I could do all of this by myself. I have people who are like my prayer team. I pray
Mhm.
with them, they pray for me. I know that they're
Mhm.
interceding on my behalf every day.
Mhm.
Um, and and all of that is what helps me to be um, balanced and I guess helps me to figure out how to become that Proverbs 31 woman.
Wow. I love it. I love it. And the family support is so very important. And when you look at figures, historical figures, or people that are iconic or they're just doing it, people don't realize all of the people that's home at home and in the neighborhood and around the world that are pushing and praying and supporting, and those people that will never go to where that individual is going, but you don't see all of the people
Hmm.
behind. And I never understood people, and I still don't to this day understand people that try to accomplish this with no one. That
Yeah.
say I'm going to do this all of my own and by myself, and I don't need anybody else. And unfortunately, I've watched a lot of those people die without accomplishing anything because you need people. I said in a message last year, I said there are three P's you need this year. You need a prophet, a pastor, and some people. So-
And I would add a fourth one. I would say in peace.
and peace. Come on. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Because I've got some people on here now that's commenting that I know pray for me. And I like what Prophetess Mixon says here. We travel on our knees. That's right. They watch when I'm traveling to Africa and I get those prayers and people are watching. Got a question here from Sheila Sanders. Good morning, Sheila. How does one handle preparing children prior to putting the pet down?
Ooh, yeah, that's tough. Um, those are actually some like the toughest euthanasias are when the men cry and when the children are present. Those are
Mm-hmm.
the two toughest ones. I would say um, start to be honest with the kids, with the children about the health of the pet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can also say that start to talk about the transitioning from, especially if children are already familiar with the concept of heaven and things like that. knowing that there is something else after death, then I think that you can start to introduce that concept when it comes to their pets, especially when you're seeing that they are not doing well. There are different tools that are also present. There are different books that you can get your children that talks about the transitioning to over what we call the rainbow bridge,
Hmm.
and also knowing that there are encourage them making memories with their pets.
Hmm.
Um, Whether it is taking certain photos, maybe doing certain photo shoots, other things, so that they know that these are different keep states um, for them, and maybe even doing something where it's like an arts and crafts project that they can keep for a very long
Hmm.
time, where the pet is actually being an active participant in it as well. So those are different ways that I have seen that children do better. It's never easy. So there's
Hmm.
never going to be a time where it is easy, but
Hmm.
to kind of help prepare them emotionally and also know that their pet hasn't completely left them,
Hmm.
then I think that and there's a part of them that will be present, um, and that you love them and they appreciate your love, and but now they have to go somewhere else, and I think that's the
Hmm.
best way.
Great advice. And of course, Daddy, being a pastor, has had to preside over a few pet funerals. Uh,
Oh,
I've
okay.
had to fish and the hamster. And the thing is I am terrified of rodents. And so if you want to see a big man move, you just bring out a rodent and I'm gone. And my wife didn't believe it, and she nearly put the hamster on me, and I almost broke my shoulder because she didn't know I could move. She didn't know she didn't know I could jump that high and move that fast. I was like,
Oh my
please.
goodness. So yeah, I feel the same way. I'm more of an anti-roach person. I can deal with, even though I don't really care for rats like that. I can kind of deal. I can deal with snakes. I can deal with spiders. Don't put a roach near me. And there are people who have pet roaches, and I tell them
I
I'm not
know.
that vet. I'm not that vet. You can, unless the only thing I can do is to help it die. But other than that, you need to go to somebody who can help you with your pet roach.
Yeah, I remember the little girl ask you the question, do you treat alligators or crocodiles? Yes.
That's not my ministry at all. It's wonderful. It's wonderful for people who do,
Uh-huh.
but that ain't me. Mm-mm.
This has been a great conversation. Please tell us, lastly, about your natural hair care line. You're not just a vet, but you have a natural
Yes.
hair care line. Now, this is for humans now.
Yes, for now.
Yes,
For now, I might
for now.
expand, but so the hair and skincare line is called Naturally Nyamka. Nyamka is actually my middle name, and it translates to God's gift. So my first and middle name translates into God's precious gift.
Okay.
And the idea behind Naturally Nyamka came because I was at Cornell, and I, at the time, was still very early in my natural hair journey. I think
Hmm.
I had only been natural for maybe like a couple of years, or like maybe a year.
Hmm.
I was still trying to figure out what was the right product for my hair and all of that. And I there was very limited products available in upstate New York. So I just
Hmm.
had to start creating my own.
Wow.
And, the rest is history. So I started to then create a business and sell the products. So I have different bath salts and body scrubs, lip balms, and my best sellers are my shea butters that are really all for one. You can use it for your hair, your body. You can use them as lip balms if you want them to. Some people use it as a face moisturizer, and it's designed to be um as natural as possible when it comes to even the ingredients.
Mhm.
No, everything that is in it is very purposeful. So there's honey in it because it helps to preserve it. There's lemon oil in it because of the same reason, but it also helps with your scalp. There's shea butter in it. There's coconut butter. I mean, coconut oil. There's vitamin E. There's all different kinds of things. And we also have a aromatherapy line. So if you want something that's rose scented, it's named Mahaba, which stands for love, which is a gift from God.
Mhm.
And we also have a lavender scented line, which is Amani, which means
Mhm.
peace, which is
Mhm.
also a gift from God. So you
Mhm.
see where the trend, like the
Yes, yes,
consistency there.
I see it. I see it.
So yeah, so if you want to check out more, it's naturally Nayamka, NANYAMKA.com. And then you can also go to my Instagram or my website and you'll be able to learn more from there too.
Please, guys, go there and visit with Dr. Aziza Glass on social media. Visit with her on her website. Support the products. Also, if you're in Houston, she is a mobile pet clinic. So
Yes.
and her clinic. So please go and visit Dr. Aziza. Dr. Aziza Glass, thank you so much for joining us today on the Rich Living Morning Show. I really do appreciate you coming and being with us today. My wheels are always turning, and I'm thinking like, how can we collab to get our African American veterinary hopefuls that way? So you'll be hearing from me. I've got some wheels turning. My grandmother says,
Okay.
we tell her all the time, God's always talking to you, and so I have that. God is always talking to me, but my mentors on here, Janice Mixon, Prophetess Mixon, would say, if y'all doing all this talking, then who is listening? So sometimes we
Oh,
gotta be able to be quiet to listen to hear what God is
right.
saying. So hopefully we'll have some things where we can work together more in the future. You always have a friend in Bishop Rich and the Rich Living Morning Show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Y'all have a blessed day.
Same to you. All right, guys, this is the Rich Living Morning Show. We're going to get back into our great gospel music here as we're coming down to the wind down of today's show. So we've got more music for you. And I believe you were inspired and encouraged and motivated by our conversation with Dr. Aziza Glass. Keep listening to the Rich Living Morning Show.
Morning Show. Right here with Bishop Richard Harper. Keep it locked.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. It was
Thank
fun.
you. Bye bye.